Hi, my name is Crystal Boyd, and I'm going to talk a little bit about my family history. This is my grandmother, my mother's mother, Evelyn Lee. This is my grandfather, Albert Lee Lattimore. My grandmother was born in Salinas, California, the same place I was born, the same place my mother was born. Her mother's name was Beatrice Holbert. Her birthday was September 3rd, 1921. Her dad's name was Curtis Williams, born October 1899. My grandmother's name was Rachel Neal. She was born January 10, 1905. My grandmother's mother died when my grandmother was only 18 years old. So she wasn't even 40 years old. She died in a car accident. And my grandmother's grandmother was still alive. And that is Rachel Neal. Rachel's Neal husband was Bill Holbert. Rachel's mother was Delcy Neal, and my grandmother's great granddad was Wesley Neal, and he lived to be 105 years old. My grandpa, Albert Lee Lattimore, his mother's name was Lucy May Palmer, and she was born in Florida, and she died when she was 82 years old, and my grandpa passed away 4 years ago, so I couldn't ask him any information. But I also know that he was a junior because his father's name was also Albert Lee Lattimore. And now we are going to go to my dad's side. Gary Boyd. This is his father, Richard Boyd, born in Mississippi in February 25th, 1931, and moved to California in 1952. My grandpa's name was Richard Boyd, and his father's name was Frank Boyd, and his mother's name was Mary Lee Durr, D-U-R-R, and she was born October 5th, 1905. Now, I was raised by my mother, and I don't really know that much about my father's side, so it was very interesting trying to find all the information that I could. My grandfather, Albert, on my mother's side, when he moved to California from Florida, he worked for the richest family in the city, which was the Cohens. They owned, I believe, the newscast station, and he would chauffeur them and drive them around. And my grandmother, Evelyn, worked at the prison. So my grandmother would say that she was in poverty because she worked so hard and didn't have any money, but technically from their income, they would be classified with at middle class, right? Above poverty, one job loss away from poverty. So it's kind of so close. Back to my father's side, to Richard Boyd, my grandfather, who was published in the Ebony magazine, October 1979. Going through this class, I looked it up on eBay and I found it, and I was able to purchase it for my children and us to have. And inside, it talks about my grandfather, the boat builder. This is my grandfather on the boat with his workers, and my grandma June, my dad's mother, that's passed, so I couldn't get any information from her, and my grandpa with her at their house in Castroville that he built. Castroville, California, where they're known for artichokes, and Salinas, California, where I was born, was known for lettuce. And here is my dad. My dad, Gary Boyd, is a twin. His brother was Larry. And in the picture with my grandfather is my father, Gary, and the boy on the other side by himself is Larry, his twin brother. They always worked on the boat with my grandfather, and in this article, they are 16 years old. My grandfather was known for building boats, and also he was in the army. He cooked food in the army and also played the guitar and the bass. My grandfather had a bad alcohol problem and a gambling problem, and he would gamble his cars and things that were high in value away when he was drunk, which made my grandmother leave him and then become in a divorce. And he's still alive from the picture that I showed you, but he doesn't have any of his fortune anymore. All we have is this Ebony magazine. Now, from the class and regarding what I've learned, yes, I was raised in poverty. My mother was on low income and didn't pay that much for rent. And watching how my grandfather and my grandmother was, it wouldn't seem as if my mother would not be as driven, but sometimes your environment makes you think that you don't need as much. Meaning, as my grandmother feels that she was in poverty, even though the income between her and my grandfather would kind of equal middle class, right above poverty, but one job lost away from poverty, but not poverty. So with her saying that she wanted to make sure that her kids felt like they had more than what they had could also cause a problem, because she said she would use a credit card to buy whatever they wanted and pay it off all year and then do it again. And you shouldn't use credit cards as a clutch or to buy things. It's like for an emergency, and kind of if you can pay it off ASAP and not all year. But I understand that I was raised good and I had a strong mind, and I've always wanted more for myself. So I think whoever you are and whatever culture you are in, you need to want more for yourself to be a better person or to be successful in life. Now, I understand that sometimes you don't have as many resources, so your environment seems like it doesn't give you as many opportunities. But from learning that Black people went from not being able to go to school, for immigrants trying to escape here for a better life, the doors have opened. And because of that, everyone should try to take advantage of it and not use it as a crutch or an environment as a reason to not be successful or to work hard. I enjoyed my class. I enjoyed finding out about my history, and with my youngest child, Mia, right there on my right, being half white and Black, I want her to be able to know everything about her bloodline, and my oldest being Mexican, Black, and German, I would want her to have the same. And that's one reason why I purchased the Ebony magazine, and I would try to get more for my children, and also I would want to have more of a hard copy of our history. So I would probably look into getting some more information, as in the video showed on PBS, on how someone can really research you and find out more about your history and have a hard copy of information to learn from. I enjoyed this class. I enjoyed finding out this information about my family and myself. And I hope everyone has a good time watching this. Thank you.